Beth Hitesman, and the let me tell you a little bit about myself and my connection with Reverend Christine McFarland. So for those of you who are guests, Reverend Christine McFarland is on vacation, so I'm speaking for her today. And many of you know that Christine and I are friends from way back. We went to Unity Institute together. And there was this instant connection for some reason, like, oh, we met someone who's just like us. In fact, people in the Institute would say, oh, there go the Bobbsey twins. But then as we were taking self-awareness classes, we really understood why we connected and why we are so much alike. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Enneagram system. And Enneagram system is basically how we learn to cope through things through childhood and how we learn to show up in life. Well, Reverend Christine and I are both Enneagram 7s. So we learned to cope with life by laughing and making things fun and being excited and smiling a lot. So it's kind of funny, as Enneagram 7s, we could see each other that, whoa, you're a 7, so am I. And we have a lot of the same smile, the same mannerisms, because we are Enneagram 7. And something else interesting that just showed up. So we just moved, my husband and I just moved to Tennessee, and we just bought a condo. We close August 35th. And our condo address is 1230 McFarland Street. So of all things. So a little bit about me, as some of you know, because we talked earlier, I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I can speak 2 languages. I can say you guys, and I can also say you all. So I can speak North and South. So my husband and I just moved to Tennessee. He got transferred down here, and I'm excited because in Tennessee, we are so close to our kids and our grandkids who live in South Carolina. They're about 2 hours away. So in fact, last week we had the grandkids here at the house. And yesterday we took them back to their mom in Columbia, South Carolina. So an interesting thing happened. As we were driving back from South Carolina to Tennessee, we decided to stop at a very popular ice cream place along the way. So my husband and I were standing in line waiting for our ice cream when all of a sudden we saw a sign that said cash only. Well, we looked at each other because I know neither of us had cash on us. So we thought, okay, we were going to have to go. Well, I guess the gentleman in front of us heard the conversation and he said, no, don't go. I want to get your ice cream for you. And I said, what? He says, no, please stay. It would be my honor and privilege to buy your ice cream for you. So it was just a wonderful experience. He made our day, and I had New York cheesecake and my husband had chocolate brownie. So today we are going to be talking about overcoming. And overcoming, as the title says right up there, is the art of getting from where you are to where you want to be. So what we're going to do is look at overcoming in probably a way that we haven't thought about before, get rid of some of our ideas of what we think overcoming is. We're going to learn deeply what it is, and we're going to learn some tools that I think are going to be really powerful that are going to help us get from point A to point B. Now, all of us are always sort of in a process of overcoming. There's something we're trying to overcome. To go from point A to point B. Maybe we want to lose weight. Maybe we're trying to find out our life purpose. Maybe someone wants to write a book. Maybe someone wants to start a business. Maybe someone is trying to get a promotion or a raise or even find a job. Maybe someone is just saying, I want to find a better way to deal with COVID. I want to find a better way to deal with everything that's going on in our society right now. But whatever is happening is we're wanting to start at point A, what we want, and point B is what we want it to be. And this process in the middle of point A and point B is this process called overcoming. So right now, let's just break it down and look at what overcoming really means so we can get a lot of clarity on it. So in John 16:33, Jesus said this, I have told you these things so that you may have peace. So there's a key word that we're going to learn about a little bit more when we're overcoming in the way that we're gifted to overcome. There's this peace that passes all understanding in things. So peace is going to be important. The next part of that verse says, in this world you will have trouble. Well, we do have a little bit of trouble in the world right now, but Jesus says, take heart, I have overcome the world. Let's read this again. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart because I have overcome the world. Now, what did Jesus mean when he said, I have overcome the world? Because if you look at the Bible history, after Jesus says, I have overcome the world, his life seemed like an apparent mess. He said this, and then he went on to be stabbed. He went on to be beaten. He went on to be put on a cross. He went on to be crucified. He had thorns on his head. His friends betrayed him. He was naked. His clothing was sent out like in a lottery. They cast lots for it. But yet he said he had overcome. So what is going on here? Was he lying, or did he mean something else? A lot of times I think when we hear the story about Jesus overcame, we think, oh, that's what we have to arrive to. If I meditate enough, if I pray enough, if I do spiritual practices enough, I will overcome, and I will never lose my temper, and I will never get angry, and problems won't happen, and that's how I will know I have overcome. But is that what is meant? Let's dig a little deeper. So I'm pulling out here my definition on the Metaphysical Dictionary. So if you're just joining and if you're new to Unity, when we read the Bible as something that can inspire us, that teaches us about how to live, about how to show up. So metaphysical means beyond physical. What is the spiritual meaning? What is the lesson that is being taught in what is said in the Bible? So metaphysically, overcoming means to correct thoughts that fall short of the divine idea. It means to correct our thoughts that are falling short of the truth. We're going to get into this a little bit deeper in just a little bit, but we correct our thoughts because we're going to learn how most of the time we're telling ourselves stories, and those thoughts stop us from living the truth. And we're going to talk a little bit on how to really tackle those thoughts, get in there and dig on them and change it. So we're going to pause that for just a little bit. But Webster has a definition of overcoming. When I read it, I thought, this is it. This is it. Overcoming means succeeding in dealing with. Overcoming, let that sink in for a second, means succeeding in dealing with. So when Jesus says, I have overcome the world, he's not saying I've overcome it, nothing bad is ever going to happen, I'm never going to have to face anything, but I have learned the tools to know how to succeed in dealing with what happens between point A and point B. So this is what we're going to learn, is how to succeed in dealing with this middle part. Okay, so what happens here when we start at point A? This is where we are, and this is where we want to become. We have to go through the overcoming part. So like, say we want to start a business, we want to write a book, we want to get a better job. Maybe we want to have a crucial conversation with someone. We want to get a relationship. We decide, yes, we're going to do it at point A. And then we got to get to point B. But between A and B, we have this little thing called our brain and our thoughts. So our brain and our thoughts job, every time we start getting off the safety, what it thinks is the safety of point B, we'll start walking, I'm going over here to B, and our brain will go, wait, where are you going? Why do you want to do this? Oh, you really want to write a book? Who do you think wants to listen to you? And we go back to A. Oh, you really want to have a conversation with this person? Oh, they're not going to listen to you anyway. So our brain keeps telling us stories no matter what we're doing to try to push us back to A. That's not a bad thing because that's the brain's job. It protected us when we were little, but now that we're bigger and we're trying to overcome, we get to speak as adults and learn new tools to say, okay, we got to go here. We're going here. We are going here. So last month, I went to a seminar that really brought this lesson home in a strong way. The seminar was by Dr. Aziz Guzapora, and he wrote a book called Not Nice. Oh my gosh, people, this book is so good. It really talks about like our human need that we don't want to disappoint people and we want to be nice all the time. And sometimes being nice is not being healthy. So anyway, I attended this 3-day seminar, and he gave us some projects to do that really clarified this overcoming mind chatter middle part. So he gave us 2 assignments. One assignment was that we had to go out and get a no. We had to go out in our community, out in our world, and we had to get someone to say no to us. Because we wanted to bring up, what does it feel like when we ask for something and we're told no? So people were coming up with some really creative ideas. Like one person decided they were going to McDonald's and they went through the drive-through and said, I would like a Happy Meal and I would like you to supersize it and I don't want you to charge me any extra for it. So of course the person said no. Other people would call their credit card companies and say, I would like a 1% interest. I want my interest dropped down to 1%. So we had all these fun exercises on learning to get no. But in getting no, we were asked to see what was showing up for us. Like, how did it feel to be silly in front of the person at the McDonald's drive-in? How did it feel? What were you thinking about when you were thinking they were going to say no to you? We were asked to really analyze what was our mind chatter doing. And then the other assignment we were told to do was to do something that embarrasses you. So once again, people were getting so creative with this. One of the persons lived in, I think maybe it was New York City, but what they decided to do is they were going to go through the crosswalks of New York City, and every time it was their turn to go, they decided they were going to skip across the crosswalks and just really act really silly. And they had a friend videoing them, and this person was very shy. This was so out of their comfort zone, but they did it. One of the things, one of the ladies, she cracked me up. She decided to put on like an Alaska parka that was really hot. Now, this was last month, so it was 100 degrees then. She put on a parka and she put on a hat and she put on gloves and she put on actually the snowsuit. So she goes walking in to Starbucks and she goes and asks for a hot chocolate extra hot. So, you know, it's funny. We all had these winter themes that we came up with. We didn't talk about it. No one shared what we were doing to begin with. But we all ended up doing these kind of winter things, probably because it was 100 degrees. So the thing that I did is I walked into Lowe's and I went into the garden center. You know how they have the garden center separate? Well, in the garden center was this tree that you put outdoors and it kind of looked like a Christmas tree. So I thought, oh, here's my opportunity to embarrass myself and to deal with it. So I had my husband record me and I stood in front of the tree and I sang, oh, Christmas tree, I don't know the words to this song, but I'm singing in the middle of Lowe's, oh, Christmas tree. So My husband recorded that, and I got to deal with the mind chatter that was going on in my brain about how ridiculous I looked. But I think one of the cutest things that happened was one of my fellow students, once again, she decided to put on a hat. She put on this big hat. She put on this scarf, and she put on gloves. And she had this backpack that she put on her. It was Santa Claus. So she had the Santa Claus backpack. So she went through her entire neighborhood, and she decided to start Christmas caroling. So in the 100-degree heat in the middle of July, she went through her neighborhood and she started to sing Christmas carols. So the next day, we did this on Zoom, just like we are here too. We came back into our Zoom rooms and we shared our experiences, and because we were asked to feel these feelings. And at the core of it, what it came down to is that most of their head chatter was, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. I'm so embarrassed. What were people going to think? You know, what are they going to say? At the core of it, it was our fear of being embarrassed, our fear of what other people thought. And we call him Dr. Z. Dr. Z shared that he had to deal with that a lot when he wrote his book, Not Nice, which is a book that changed my life. And obviously everyone who was in that seminar, when he wrote that book, he looked at the Amazon reviews, and, you know, it was like, yes, this is great ratings. It changed my life. But then he got a whole bunch of negatives like, this guy's a loser. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. And we realized through our example of going out and getting no's and being silly that we were really worried about how we look or how we're going to feel and how people are going to react, that truthfully, we can't control how people are going to react. Some people are going to look at me and see me singing an old Christmas tree and think it's really funny and it's really cute. And some people are going to think, wow, that woman has lost some of her marbles. She's an idiot. But every time we go from point A to point B, we have to get out of our comfort zone. And what we learned most from that lesson is the goal in life is not to get to point B. Because once we get to point B, we're humans, we change. There's always a new point B. But the true joy and the true opportunity in life is in this overcoming, learning about ourselves, listening to our minds, challenging us. This is where life happens, not at point A or point B, but in the overcoming. And what is wonderful is, as we were talking about in meditation, is that we have everything we need to overcome. Jesus said, I have overcome the world. He had said, what is in me is also in you. And you have everything you need to overcome. So I'm going to leave you with 3 quick things, and I'm going to leave you with 2 activities to do. The first quick thing is to realize when you're at point A to point B, accept that this overcoming is going to happen. It's part of our life. It's part of who we are. But you know, it doesn't have to be scary. In fact, it can be our challenge. It's our opportunity to grow. If we accept it, if we say, well, why is the world showing up like this? Why is she acting like this? Why is this coming? Oh, I can't do this. The scripture says, what? In this world you will have troubles. It's a given, people. It's gonna happen. This is gonna happen. But I have overcome the world. And you already have overcome the world because you have everything you need inside of you. We just need to get the right tools to overcome the training we have as kids that say we're not good enough. We need to be quiet. We need to stop being embarrassed. We have what we need to overcome right in the middle. And then, let me turn to my last page. Embrace it. I invite you to embrace this part of overcoming that happens to us. Where we get in trouble is when we fight it, because it's here. Whatever is presenting itself is presenting itself. And we can fight whatever is presenting itself, or we can embrace it and say, I can overcome this. I can learn. I can grow. It is in this that it shows us who we are and who we can be. And it's the embracing of the overcoming, the icky stuff in the middle, that allows us to shine as our true self. And then just always remember, you are supported, just as Jesus says, I have overcome, because he called it the Father within him. We have the Father within us also. And what I do is, like, if I'm in a situation, sometimes it's harder to figure out what's the next step to do. I've learned, instead of getting in our heads and getting scared and going, oh, no, 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 this is not going to work. If we just turned it inside and say, I'm overcoming, I'm in an overcoming stage, and I don't know what to do. Show me the next step. Show me. And then wait for guidance to show up. It may show up at that moment. It may show up in a day. It may show up in a week. It will show up somehow. Like the thing that I was praying about is, I have problems accepting things from people. And I'm realizing that if I can't learn to accept things, the universe can't give it to me, because I push it away and I push it away. And one of my goals was, show me how to accept things. And then what happened with my ice cream? I had no money. I had no money to get ice cream. And the gentleman in front of me said, no, I want to buy it for you. And I promise you, people, my first thought and my first instinct was, oh, no, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. But since I'm understanding overcoming, that I want to challenge my thoughts, it was like, yes, I gratefully accept it. So when you start overcoming, going from point A to point B, promise you things will show up in your life to give the chance to practice. So this is how I'm going to end. So you remember those things that I did in my seminar? I'm going to invite you to try to do them as well. So I'm going to invite you this week to go out. You can do one or you can do two, whatever you're called to do. We were asked to do three things to either get a no, or three things that embarrass you. And here's the reason why. I got it after the seminar, because do three things that'll embarrass you. Talk with someone, write it down, analyze the feelings that are coming up with you. Because what I found is the little feelings and the little voices that come up on the little embarrassing things are the exact same voices that come up in the big things. The voices are kind of constant and repetitive. They come up in different angles. So it really teaches you to feel those emotions and say, I feel the emotions. They're scary, but I'm still going to go forward and do it. Because one of the things that we learned in that class is that what we were afraid of most was our feelings. I'm afraid I'm going to feel bad. I'm afraid I'm going to feel embarrassed. I'm afraid that person. The thing that we're afraid of most is our feelings. So we can get in touch with those feelings and say, hey, it's going to be okay. We can move forward. It's a feeling. So I just invite you to go out and to get a no, to do something that embarrasses yourself, and to feel what feelings come up. When I was first assigned to this, many in the class were giggling. So I'm sure there's going to be some like you. Many were giggling, going, oh, this is so fun. No, not me. My first reaction was, I ain't doing this. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I am not going out embarrassing myself. I've done this in another seminar. I'm not doing it here. And I was not coming back the next day. I was so triggered. So we went to Lowe's. When I went to Lowe's, I was mad. I was not happy about doing anything because I was quitting. And then I saw the Christmas tree, and I think I got a little nudge from Spirit saying, Beth, do it. So I recorded myself singing "Oh Christmas Tree," and then I got it. That my initial anger and reaction was my first step in that voice to keep me from moving forward. And like if I want to start a business or write a book, that same little voice shows up over and over and over and over again. So when we go out and do what seems like silly exercises, it really helps us hear those voices that are inside that are telling us to go back to square A. So I'd also like to tell you one thing, just to invite you to think about the possibility that this overcoming can be easy. It can almost be seen like a game, like, ooh, what game of overcoming are we playing today? Oh, this is the game where I want to run away and hide because I'm afraid I don't want to put my workout on the internet because people might judge me. So what happens if I put it out anyway? That it could be nice and easy, and it could be like a game. And when we're in these thought patterns, it doesn't have to be so tough. All we have to do is say, hey, I think I want to change the channel. Do I have peace? No, my thoughts right now are not bringing me peace. So what can I do to change the channel? So this is what I invite you to take away from this, is that between point A and point B, and we're always somewhere between those points, is this process of overcoming. And this can be challenging, but it can also be our greatest work, and it can be the most transformative process if we really get in there and say yes to overcoming. Oh, thank you so much. I have to overcome right now because it's so hard. I can't see any of you, and I'm just looking at this blank screen. So my story is, oh my gosh, Beth, what are they thinking of you? You're an idiot. You have failed. And like, no, I am overcoming. We are just dealing with this, and it's okay. So thank you so much for joining us. So if you would like to help support this community, it's so appreciated to get the words and the message and all the meditations and the transformation things that are happening, not just in the community, but now people are tuning in all across the country. You can donate in the chat box. You can hit the donate button in the email containing the Zoom link, and also on the website at unityofspringfield.org. So we take a deep breath, and we are so grateful that we can grow and change our own lives. And as we do in our own lives, we can make a difference in the lives of others. And we make a difference when we share our gifts and our talents, whether it be emotionally, whether it be spiritually, whether it be uplifting, or whether it be financially. We are so grateful that we are in this wonderful relationship of giving and receiving, and we know all is well. So we have a special thanks to Chris. Chris, thank you so much for helping me out here. So appreciate you. And the Board of Trustees who are attending for business while Reverend Christine is on vacation. So let's do an emotional spiritual hug to everyone in the room and send out this prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God unfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.